Hi everyone, my name is Bernicia and I am in your speech class. Today I'll be talking about the three chapters, chapter 1, 2, and 3, and give you my brief video synopsis on how I interpreted the next three chapters. In chapter 1, it's talking about connecting processes and principles. They talk about what communication means through social media. And by definition, communication is sharing and creating meaning through human symbolic interaction. To me, communication is a tricky device used to either harm or lift up your social status. My word to the wise is be very quiet when it comes to your personal life on the internet. Because some corporations actually use that information to either hire you or reject you. That means don't be putting your relationship status on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. I don't know. All of these things will be used against you in the court of law, right? So make sure that you completely keep your personal life private. Because when you get to that high standard of job, high standard of looking for a job, these things can hurt you. And they Google you. Yeah, make sure you Google yourself to see what other people will see about you. Also in chapter 1, they talked about principles of communication, process, system, transactional, and intentional and unintentional. There are 8 essential components of communication. That's the source, the sender, the message, the interference, noise, channel receiver, feedback, environment, and context. In all communication, it involves appropriate verbal and nonverbal behaviors. An example of a nonverbal behavior, you can tell me what that face means, I'm sure. That's a universal face for I'm done listening to what you got to say. Whatever you're telling me right now is not happening, right? So that was a little brief example of a nonverbal behavior or communication. I'm sure everybody can interpret that one. Communication is a gift of gab to some people, and to others it's a menace. People that have strong communication skills often are in high leadership roles. Society will follow someone that can speak well. On the other hand, someone that can't speak very well, they end up being a writer. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing around. But, you always notice the ones with strong will and strong communication skills, people will follow. And they will lay their life on the line, per se, for what that person says because they believe in it. That's very, very strong attribute to have as a human being, In chapter 2, it's called Connecting Perception and Communication in chapter 2. It's all about perception, which involves selecting, organizing, and interpreting info to give meaning to communication. There are 3 stages of perception. You have the awareness of surrounding, you organize that info that was given, and then you give meaning to the info. And after you've done all that, you have to be able to communicate perception to others. Sounds kind of weird, right? Like how do you perceive your communication? Our past makes up our future. All the things we have been through, heard, seen, experienced, and observed makes up the genetic makeup of each individual perception. Now, some people are better than perceiving than others. Take my mother for an example. I love that woman to death. But she always knew when something bad would happen to me, like before it happened. And as a kid, I'm like, wow, Mom, you're like superhuman. Like, where do you get that from? Yeah, I want to learn how to do that. In my adult life, after I've thought about it, after I read this chapter, I kind of think that maybe A, she was a very perceptive woman. B, she was wise, which in fact, that actually may be it. Or C, I was set up. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that my mom set me up. I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I can't tell you now. who knows now how that affects everything. But what I was saying was about, how perceptive she was. And she was perceptive of her surroundings and my surroundings as well. Now, my mother, you'd never know what she was going through or how she knew what was going to happen before it happened. Hey, still never know, right? So now we're going to go on to chapter 3, which is called Connecting Self and Communication, and which it talks about connecting self with communication, right? Self-explanatory. It's basically the way we view ourselves, and the way we identify is the way we perceive ourselves. So it brings me to sex. Yes, we all love it. So let's talk about sex. Not the boom shika wow wow sex. Come on, guys, get your mind out the gutter. But I'm talking about the genetic sex, the sex that was placed to you or given to you at birth, the kind of sex that makes you either a male or a female. And once you realize that you are a male or a female and you identify as a male or a female, your perception comes into full kick. This means that the way that you talk to people, the way that you perceive people, and the way that you act around people is all in the perception bubble. So as soon as you realize and accept your sex, your perception becomes in full effect. This is what determines how you speak to others. Also, self-esteem comes into play. Now, if you're like me and you have high self-esteem, really high, way up there, right? You have high self-esteem, then your haters are your motivators. You don't listen to what people say. You may take their opinion under consideration, but it does not make or break your perception or the way that you do things in your life. I have many people in my life now that will always offer their opinion of me or offer the way I'm supposed to be or the way I'm supposed to act. However, my self-esteem allows me to either accept or reject the information. When you have high self-esteem, you're an alpha personality. That means that no one can tell you what you should do with your life. That means that your haters are your motivators. That means that you got the haters on lock, and they're the ones that tell you, if all of them speak at once, they're telling you that you're doing something right? That's how I view it. Now, ones with low self-esteem, those are ones that we have to worry about. Those are the ones that actually listen to the naysayers and let them dictate how their personality will be, how they live through their lives. And often enough, the low self-esteemer people actually have, depression issues. This often is troublesome in the medical community, and also like in life. You don't want to have to worry about someone's perception or self-esteem because, that's just, it's sad. People actually die off this, and this is where bullying comes in effect. So the people that I have around me and my family, I often try to keep them uplifted and to, keep their self-esteem intact and high. You're living off cloud 9. Why not share the wealth, right? In chapter 3, they also talked about face work. Now we know these people that put in work, the ones that are living on a champagne diet on a beer budget. Is that how it goes? The ones that's wearing the Louis Vuitton shoes and living in an apartment. The ones that's driving the Maseratis. God, I love you. But live with their mother. Those are the ones that are putting in major face work to be socially accepted in society. Those are the ones you stay away from. Ladies, men, stay away from those. Men call the ladies that are like that gold diggers. Women call the men that are like that bugaboos, right? You get me. So that's basically the synopsis of chapter 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much for listening. Try to keep you guys in tune. And I'll speak to you sometime soon. Peace.